Alrighty. Hope you guys are having an amazing evening. We're actually going to go ahead and turn the camera around like this for this stream. Let me grab this chair here. We are just kind of chilling tonight. Normally for a chill stream, we even, already have stuff planned out and stuff that we want to talk about. Tonight we are legitimately just chilling. The lighting is terrible like this, so I'm going to see if I can fix it. Hold on. Let's turn this on. And if we wanted to, we can turn this off. And that should make it a little better. So, again, tonight, we're kind of just chilling here. Again, we'll play some Twisted, look at some historical tornado data, whatever you guys really want to do tonight. Again, we're kind of just chilling. I promised that I would do a chill stream tonight. I do have one thing that I want to talk about, and that is the state of our severe weather season. I do think that tomorrow looks somewhat interesting, but it's very conditional. So, we'll see what happens. But I appreciate all you guys joining. What's up, Caleb? Brody, Central Illinois EAS Camp Redbird. Caleb, how's it going, everybody? I've never played Helicity before. I've literally never played it. So that wouldn't actually be a terrible idea. By the way, so again, don't really have any plans for tonight, so I figured it might be a fun thing to do. $5 or more donation. You get to decide what we do for the next 30 minutes or so. So if you have any requests of what to do, that would be a good way to do that. But again, we're just
accessibility shortcuts
tonight. Give me just a second. There we go. Helicity's like a horrifying game at first. See, I want to play Outbreak really badly, but obviously I'm on Mac. I've been told that I need to do Helicity, and also I've been told the graphics aren't as good as Twisted. So, I'm kind of split. That was a bad voice crack, but I'm kind of split on the issue. I really don't know. But we'll see. We may play some Helicity tonight. I'm not too sure. We could actually, if I could stop voice cracking, we could actually call up the boys here. What's up, Grant? Let's go ahead and call up Jesse, Levi, and Vincent. See if any of them want to talk. But yeah, I figure we just chill tonight. I do want to re-hit 4,500 subs again. Unfortunately, we lost one, and that's no bueno. So I'd like that to go back up by the end of the stream. Leaked. I didn't leak anything. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. Again, I want to mention our threat for tomorrow because although it looks conditional, I do think that we could actually be looking out for a potential tornado threat. I leaked my background picture. Oh boy, what a devastation. I do think that we could actually end up seeing a pretty interesting tornado threat for tomorrow, to say the least. Again, I don't see any widespread significant threat for severe weather. However, I will note there is going to be the potential for a couple of tornadoes across portions of eastern Nebraska and western Iowa in particular, if convection initiates that late in these regions. Now, again, storm mode, very messy, and there are a couple other issues with this setup, including the fact that these thunderstorms are mostly going to be on the elevated side of things. So they're going to struggle to plant down tornadoes, most likely. Now, that could still support a pretty large hail and significant damaging wind threat. But if we take a look at some soundings here, if we go ahead and uncontaminate this really quickly, I guess it's still somewhat contaminated, but you get the idea. You'll notice, again, pretty robust photograph there. I mean, we've got decent wind shear. We've got over 4,500 capes, so exceptional cape. Lapse rates at 8 Celsius per kilometer. It is worth noting there is a bit of a lack in SRH. Originally, it didn't look like that was going to be the case, 3 or 4 days ago. And again, it's an elevated sounding. So that's why we only have 32.3 Cape there. These thunderstorms are really going to struggle due to the fact that they are most likely going to be elevated. And it reminds me a lot of the April 19th event where we ended up seeing the Essex, Iowa tornado. If we go to the April 19th, 2025 SPC, or no, not April 19th. What day was that? Was that April 17th? That was sometime around the... Yeah, April 17th. There it is. We had an enhanced risk of severe weather introduced across portions of eastern Nebraska and southwestern Iowa, driven by a 30% hatched hail threat, and we weren't expecting a very robust tornado threat simply due to the fact that thunderstorms were likely to be elevated. And that did not end up being the case. These thunderstorms planted down strong, and at times violent tornadoes. We had the Essex tornado. We also had the Bennington EF3. We also had several other strong tornadoes on this day. We had a massive hail event. And this setup is very reminiscent of that, but with a worse storm mode. I definitely don't think the ceiling is nearly as high with this event as it was for the April 17th event. The main reason that I say that can actually be explained very well if we take a look at Chase Archive. If we go back to April 19th here and we take a look at the sounding in the Essex, Iowa area, you'll notice that our wind shear was quite a bit more impressive. We were talking about 35 knots of wind shear in the 0 to 1. If we take a sounding from the area where we're expecting to have the most robust tornado threat potential, you'll notice in the 0 to 1, we have 8 knots of wind shear. Now, you can, cherry pick your soundings here and find areas with greater wind shear overall, but then in the other areas, you've got problems in different types. So, again, we'll see what happens. Again, I don't see this playing out as a super intense tornado outbreak or anything like that. But I do think that if storm mode clears up and these storms aren't quite so elevated, we actually could be looking out for a potential tornado threat for tomorrow. Again, this would be like the perfect environment here, although you'll notice I say that. We literally have 8 SRH in the first kilometer of the atmosphere. So, again, kind of just messy all around. Again, a few days ago, this looked like it was going to be a very robust tornado threat. We were pulling PDS Tor soundings, non-elevated with a discrete storm mode. I mean, it looked like it was going to have the potential to be something big, like 10, potentially even 15 hatch tornado threat setup, but that definitely did not end up coming to fruition due to the things that we mentioned, the lack in SRH. The fact that these storms do look to be elevated at this point, they're not discrete whatsoever. I mean, it just looks like a pretty mid setup overall. What's up, Pete? We need the mastermind's opinion on Friday and Saturday in Illinois. I did actually look at Friday a little bit, and I will say it looks like it has the potential to be something. If we go over to hour 48, though, you'll notice that we don't have a lot of convection initiation in Illinois. We do have a few clusters of strong to severe thunderstorms, maybe some big-time hail producers, but if we actually take a look at the environment, and we're going to do what Andrew Griffiths hates, we take a little sounding here from central Illinois, right over your area there, Caleb. Again, we have a couple of problems with our setup, but it is decent overall. Our wind shear is definitely lacking, our SRH is lacking, and I think that that's going to lead to the tornado threat being extremely minuscule for this event. But I would not be shocked to see some big-time hail, some damaging wind gusts. Although your possible hazard type technically... oh, gosh. My voice cracks are bad tonight, Chad. I've been talking a lot. You're going to have to forgive me. Although your possible hazard type technically does say none, you can pretty much ignore that just simply due to the fact that... first of all, those aren't always right, but you also literally have on the SARS analogs significant hail analogs up to baseball size. So it's an iffy setup, and again, definitely not going to be supportive of any significant severe weather threat, but some hail, certainly possible, maybe even some damaging wind gusts, maybe even a little bit of localized flash flooding, specifically across portions of southeastern Illinois would be my guess if we were to take a look at the actual accumulation of precipitation here. I don't think that we can do that through Pivotal on HRRR, can we? Can we do that? I don't think so. Oh, we can. If we take a look at this here, you'll notice that, again, obviously you shouldn't take the exact areas too specifically, but there are a few areas that end up saying, 1.5 to 2 inch swaths of rain. Again, your bigger threat for Friday is actually going to kick in whenever you're talking about portions of the Midwest, further off to the west, not really the Ohio Valley. We're actually going to be looking at a pretty robust threat for some damaging winds across portions of Iowa and even back into parts of Minnesota. And that has prompted a day 3 slight risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center for many of those areas. Again, that slight risk extending all the way from portions of eastern Iowa back into sections of northeastern Kansas. But yeah. Yep, unfortunately the Texas flash floods are, they're calming down, but we're starting to, or we're at least beginning to see the status of a lot of these missing people, and it's quite unfortunate, because a lot of them have obviously not made it, which is pretty sad to see, obviously. Again, I mean, it's a horrible, horrible event, the likes of which Texas has not seen. Many of these people have not seen something like this in their entire life, if they've lived in Texas. I mean, it's horrible. But yeah. What's up, Sydney? What's up, Otter? But yeah, I don't know. Um, it's pretty horrible to see. And the actual fatality count is, I believe, over 120 at this point. Let me check that. I'm not certain on that. Yeah, so our fatality count is, again, 120 plus, with 173 or more still missing. And again, most of those coming from Kerr County. Very unfortunate situation, to say the least. But yeah. I will say the good news is hurricane season does not look to awaken here over the next couple of weeks. The GFS has, again, kind of, low after low after low, but it doesn't necessarily have anything that is a definitive tropical cyclone potential. I mean, obviously that's going to change, but usually this time of year, the GFS fantasy runs go kind of crazy. So the fact that they're not is generally, I think, a good sign. Um, but yeah. Um, Probably a water spout east of Tom's River. Yeah, I mean, it's strong circulation, but it is quite broad. It would not shock me if there was a water spout ongoing. Just southeast of Brick Township. Also, potentially a couple of water spouts well offshore now, just east of Atlantic City. We did have a huge damaging wind event across portions of the central and northern plains today, and it's still ongoing technically, but at this point, thunderstorms are going to continue to die out pretty rapidly as our instability values begin to dip in these areas. Some damaging winds still going to be possible overnight, but again, as the sun sets, you're going to notice those instability values plummet very quickly. Again, 11 p.m. right now, we're sitting at 5,000 in an hour. That dips by 1,000. So, but yeah. I did not go live for this event because I didn't see a too intense, significant tornado threat associated with it. Again, I think tomorrow is extremely conditional on so many factors, but if storm mode clears up, if storms aren't elevated, if there's more SRH than forecasted, then yes, perhaps we could see a couple of strong tornadoes tomorrow. Again, that is conditional on so many things, though. It is so unlikely that we actually end up seeing something play out like that. We're probably going to watch out for perhaps a brief tornado somewhere in northeastern Nebraska in the evening time hours, but I really don't see a robust tornado threat for tomorrow. Looking NAM for Friday. 2% hatched. See, again, if they do end up adding the 2% hatched risk, which I actually don't think they're ever going to, but it's a very controversial thing to say in the weather community. But I don't think they're going to, but if they were to, which they claim they are, this would be an instance of a 2% single hatch risk if they introduce that triple hatch scale. Um, but yeah, if they do end up deciding to make that the new thing, I mean, we're probably gonna just see it be introduced in a very, very long time into the future. Because revising a whole new overlay for SBC skills, it's got to be very difficult. Oh, I'm supposed to be looking at NAM Nest. I don't know where that is. Yes, I did do it, Airborne. I know you were mocking me in my comments. I have not made a hypothetical SBC outlook, not like a serious one anyway. Call of Duty. College of DuPage. Whoops. College of DuPage weather models. I don't have a lot of experience on College of DuPage, I'll be honest. What in particular did you want me to look at? Like, um, we'll look at the SIG-TOR parameter values because that's going to be very accurate. What? Is this what it usually looks like on the NAM Nest? That is ridiculous. That is crazy. Is that what NAM Nest usually looks like? It always has these crazy, like, huge, elevated swaths. Like, seriously, it has that swath going all the way from the northeastern portions of New York back into Kansas. That is ridiculous. I can see why nobody uses this. Well, let's see what the updraft Lissy tracks look like. What? That is crazy work. That is crazy work. This is ridiculous. This is the best. This is the best weather model of all time. Actually, that's what I think. Everywhere is slabbed. It's crazy. People crashing out on WX Meme Hub today has been kind of funny, and I joined in. Let's see how our good buddy WX Meme Hub is doing. Let's take a look at what's going on. I just realized I probably can't show half of this. Yeah, we're not gonna do that actually. But yeah. Currently making a super outbreak with Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and North Carolina in a 60 hatch. I made 3 fully layered 200-mile plus long tracks. That is quite something. I will say that much. You know what? Although I said I was going to do the March 31st documentary, I'm kind of having second thoughts on that. What is an outbreak that you guys want to see me document? Again, preferably a tornado outbreak, not like a derecho or something. The only reason I did the June 29th derecho is because, I have, I was slabbed by it, that's why. I'm just gonna be frank. April 2nd, oh my gosh, I don't want to do April 2nd. April 27th, 2011. That will be in the far future. 2011 North Carolina outbreak. Are you talking about April 16th? That would actually be kind of interesting. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about that. I also wanted to talk, I was thinking about doing April 26, 2011. entitling it, like, The Forgotten Super Outbreak, overshadowed for obvious reasons. But April 26th was no joke. No joke whatsoever. Um, and it's partially the reason why April 27th was so big. But please make an HPC documentary. Did not see that one coming from Airborne. Again, preferably something that nobody else, or at least very few people, have done. I do think it could be somewhat interesting to talk about March 14th and 15th. For some reason, people just, like, forgot about March 14th and 15th of this year. Just partially overshadowed by April 2nd and May 15th and 16th. But March 14th was still arguably the most intense tornado outbreak of the entire year. Because, yeah, sure, May 16th had some unprecedentedly violent tornadoes, but they weren't super widespread. And April 2nd had the most tornadoes in a singular day out of the entire year. But none of those tornadoes in particular were, like, ridiculously intense. March 14th and 15th, even if you wanted to just look at one of those days individually, we'll take March 14th for example. Not only do you have the longest tracking tornado since Mayfield and the highest rated tornado since Rolling Fork, you also get over 50 other tornadoes to document. Alright. I'm just going to say this right now, Sam. Again, obviously I don't have any problem with people being religious. I'm religious myself. But I'm going to tell you right now, you do not need to pout over not getting recognition for a message. We don't do it for attention. That's all I'm going to say. Read my other comment. The Huntsville EF4 back in... Weatherbox did one on the Huntsville EF4, though. Or the Huntsville F4. I think so, anyway, didn't you? I believe so. Weatherbox. Huntsville. So, Huntsville did 1989. I assume that's the one that you're referring to. Weatherbox changed the title and thumbnail. Yeah, I don't understand what the purpose of this video was. I'm just going to be totally honest. Okay, well, to be completely fair, you did put that message and people responded to it, and not as many people as you liked responded to it. So you said, oh, whatever, you guys don't have to be religious. I mean, I'm not getting serious. I think it would be best for everybody if we just were to drop this because things can get taken out of context and escalate very quickly. It was like it was something like who the reason people die in tornadoes, and it was like in the thumbnail it said, hint, it's you. Like, okay. And I guess I still just don't understand the point of the video. Like, doing everything you can to not survive in a tornado. I understand that the point of the video somewhat is that people do the opposite. But I don't understand why he would frame it like that. Still a great video. I don't see why he would make it. I mean, you can. Okay. Again, nobody criticized you for spreading a motivational message, but if you'd like to lie, that's fine. Can we run some Twisted? I thought about that. We have done Twisted like 15 streams in a row, though. Yeah, I know, Evan. Evan Freiberger. Put a pull out for Twisted or Helicity. Again, I've never played Helicity, but we'll see. Don't play Helicity. It's low-key scary. Is it actually like am I actually gonna be scared? Should we find out? Should we play a horror game? Should we play like FNAF or something? That would low-key be goated. Felicity's a horror game first try. How does it compare to Outbreak? Everybody in chat that's had experience in all three games, rank the three: Helicity, Outbreak, and Twisted. Rank the three. Twisted, Outbreak, Helicity. See, again, I almost considered buying like a normal laptop just so that I could play Outbreak, but then I realized I don't really have that strong of a desire to. I already play Twisted, and nothing exciting happens in Outbreak, like, ever, from what I've seen. Also, I'm not gonna lie, Outbreak's graphics are not all that everybody says that they are. Try RTS chasing. I've also looked into that a little bit. Isn't it, like, super expensive? Twisted, Helicity, Outbreak. RTS chasing is free in Roblox. Oh, it's a Roblox game? Am I stupid? I might be stupid. I might be dumb. I would have to re-download Roblox because I had to delete it. To make space on my computer for a new video on the second channel. If you haven't already, go subscribe over to the second channel, Davis Does Games. Let's get it to 200 subs, chat. We've been stuck at 188 for so long. I know I haven't really posted too much content overall yet on the second channel, but I would like to see it do well, preferably. So go subscribe over to Davis Does Games if you've not already. New video coming out on the second channel on the 11th or the 12th. I think it's the 12th. So go check it out. But How much would it take for Davis Does Food Review? That already happened in 2021. Your birthday's on the 15th. Happy early birthday. Should we do like a tier list? I feel that we should do a tier list. I think that would be fun. What should we rank, though, is the question. Tornado. Well, we got a lot of July birthdays in chat. Let's see. Tornado Outbreaks 2021. See, we can't actually see the date on a lot of these, and I'm not super memory fresh on all of the 21 events. Favorite tornadoes. Let's see. What about... Let's see. I've looked at a lot of these before, and they're kind of ridiculous. F5/EF5 tornado candidates. See, some of these are kind of random, though. That's my problem here. Is Sterling City, Texas, 2024. Like, what? Excuse me? Minden, Iowa? Are we serious? Like, what? Some of those are kind of goofy. What else? Tornado tier list. We could do this. I mean, it's not a very wide list. It's kind of a bunch of random... You know what, just for Airborne, this is what I'll do. Just for Airborne. For Airborne! You'll like that. Whoa! DL with the $20 donation. Best of luck continuing the growth with the channel. And the Southcast with the $5 dono. DL. W for DL and the Southcast in the chat. Thank you so much. DL is the GOAT, everybody. Again, if you're not aware, he has retired from storm chasing full-time, so I wish you the best of luck in the future, my dude. Thank you for all that you've helped me with. W's in the chat for DL. Let's go. Thank you so much, dude. I really do appreciate it. Again, thank you all for all that you and Garrett have helped me with over the past several months. Again, I really do appreciate it, so seriously, dude, thank you so much. And W's in the chat for DL for the $20 donation. And, again, the Southcast with the 5. Appreciate it, man. No worries. Happy to have helped. Thank you so much. I don't know why you're not a mod. I thought I already modded your personal channel. Let's do that. The Southcast says, can you do a documentary in the Meadville EF3 on December 28th? My sister was 2 miles from the direct path by this is Southwest Mississippi WX. Would that happen to be the tornado that was adjacent to Bude? Because if so, I'll admit I'm not super familiar. No, it was Bude. Okay. Yeah. We could do Bude. I think if I were to document Bude, I would probably document the entire December 28th outbreak, which is officially the most recent super outbreak. In the technical sense that it had over 100 tornadoes occur in a 24-hour period. I think actually technically it's a 12-hour period, but we could document the December 28th outbreak for sure. Again, Port Arthur, we could talk about quite a bit. Also, we could even talk about Spring, Texas. I mean, there are certainly many interesting tornadoes on that day. So we'll see. But thank you guys so much for the donations. W's in the chat for DL and the Southcast. we'll go ahead and get you guys up there on the donation board. W's in the chat. Again, DL has helped me with so much. It's awesome to see him continue his passions and whatever he wants to do next. Let's go and make that text a different color than white so you can actually read it. And W's, again, just one more time in the chat for DL. Again, literally the best chaser in the game. Let's go. But anyway, go ahead and throw up the Southcast as well with the 5. But again, thank you so much, dude. And again, thank you to the Southcast as well. And again, I certainly would consider documenting December 28th as we go into the future. But yeah, that's awesome. This community is probably the best in the weather community, TBH. Perhaps. It depends on what you mean by this community. No, seriously though, I do love all you guys. God bless. But yeah. Did Jesse retire from storm chasing? Well, I mean, no. There's just nothing to chase. He can't chase every event. I mean, he went out 2 times for the late spring, early summer season. I will tell it. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to say this on stream because I don't even know if it's confirmed if it's happening or not yet. It is going to be so hype though. So hype next season. That's what I'm gonna say. Say it. If we get this stream to 30 likes right now, I'll say it. 30 likes. 30 likes and I'll say it. This is actually kind of hype. Like, oh, the Southcast with another 2. Can you be mod again? Absolutely, dude. Sorry, I did not. I saw your message earlier, but I kind of blanked out because I was reading something else, I think. Thank you so much, though, for the $2 donation. W's in the chat for the Southcast once again. Thank you so much, my dude. God bless. I really do appreciate all the donations, you guys. Again, I know I don't say it enough, but I'm so grateful to have all you guys in the community. If it weren't for something like this, I would actually have to go out and get like a summer job and would probably hate life. So I really do appreciate you guys, every single one of you, for making it possible, whether you donate or not. But again, thank you so much to the Southcast. You should be mod now. But anyway, thank you so much. W's in the chat. Oh, we're almost at 30 likes too. We're 2 away. So we'll see. We need to hit 4,500 again. We're 1 under. 1 under. 1 under. We're still 2 likes away. You know what? I'll go ahead and I'll spill the tea, as some people were referring to it as in chat. Oh my gosh, the Southcast again with another $2 donation. My last $2 here, a goat. Thank you so much, my dude. W's in the chat. Thank you so much for another very generous $2 donation. W's in the chat for the Southcast. I really hope that's not like the last $2 in your bank account. I hope that's not what you meant, but thank you so much for the $2 donation. W's in the chat. Thank you so much, though, dude. God bless. That's awesome. W's in the chat for the Southcast. Let's go. Everybody's calling him Evan Freiberger. Spill the tea. Alright, just because the Southcast and DL are such goats, I'll spill the tea. Again, you guys have to keep in mind, it is not confirmed. We don't know if this is absolutely happening, but we would like to, and it's very possible. Hey, we have 4,500 again. W's in the chat for everybody. It would be very possible that me, Levi, and Jesse go on a joint chase in May in the Ohio Valley. Again, it's not confirmed, But that would be the dream. That would be epic. It was my last $2 in the bank. I got 18 cents. Um, I wish I could refund your $2 donation now. Thank you so much, though, dude. But that would be the dream for next year. But yeah, I mean that would be epic. You guys funded the soda that I bought at the gas station earlier. Thank you guys. No, in all seriousness though, thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. Let's see as Zero ZGFS comes in here, what things look like. Still no signs of any tropical resurgence over the next week or so. Very interesting low there around hour 120 to 140. I think we're probably going to end up seeing a decently unstable environment out here. Let's get pivotal. Are we watching a Midwest super outbreak unfold in the GFS? That's what I'm going to change the stream title to. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, over 5,000 instability. Obviously, it's the GFS, over 150, or not quite 150 hours out, but you've also got to keep into account that the GFS is a low-resolution model, so the actual specific numbers at the maxima might be a little bit higher. And again, you've got shear. I mean, very real potential that we might watch the 15th. And again, I only point this out because the 18Z had it as well. Again, high shear, and if we look at surface cape, over 4,000 instability. So, something is going to happen. That's an ominous way of putting it. Is HRRR best for soundings? I mean, it just, it depends on what you mean by best, and it depends greatly on the event. One model isn't going to be able to dominate every single forecast, but in a sense, I suppose the HRRR would be the best just because it is the highest resolution model. So technically, yes. Let's see what HRRR has for tomorrow again. See, again, the problem is this is an elevated sounding. Do we have convection out here? We do not. At least not any. Again, storm mode would have to clean up a lot. Like, a whole heck of a lot if we wanted to see anything big tomorrow. Like, seriously. I mean, again, I would not be shocked to see potentially the addition of a 15 hatched hail risk, but I definitely don't see a 5% toll risk being introduced without a significant uptrend in the storm mode and a guarantee that these storms aren't going to be elevated. But yeah. You have big news? What's up? You have big news for me. Let's see what this is. Oh, you have 14 cents. Sweet. 14 cents. They'll use the chat for 14 cents. I love South Cat. Can you do a fast food tier list? I already did do a members only fast food tier list with Jesse and Vincent. We would have done it with Levi, but he was at church camp. No, I'm kidding. That's awesome, but he was not home, unfortunately. 14 is better than 12. It's true. Okay, that's crazy, Airborne. You should fund and get Levi a graphics card so he can play Twisted with us. That is crazy. What should we rank? What do we rank, chat? We rank EF5. EF5 tornadoes. Strong. I've looked at the strongest tornadoes of all time list. They have a lot of random, like, really random contenders. Example, Henryville. Like, what? Also, they really just include more so photogenic tornadoes than anything else, like Katie Winwood. I mean, this is definitely not a good list for strongest tornadoes of all time. But, and again, lists like this, they don't have any more than 10 tornadoes whenever you look at these F5/EF5 lists. It's the problem. It's the problem, Bob. We could do this one. We'll rank these by what metric should we rank them by? Intensity, damage, impact on the weather community, influence, what? I don't think I've ever been to Jacksonville, so I don't know why you would say again, but I don't know what metric we would rank these by. That's the only problem here. Just put HPC at 1. We already did that. You want to have your cake and eat it too, don't you? You probably want Rainsville at number 1 too. App dot. Dude, Ruidoso has been under 15 flash flood emergencies in the past week. And last year it was so much worse. So much worse. That's the sad thing. I said this on my community tab. Most of you guys seem to agree. From a meteorological standpoint, it would make sense if Smithville was the strongest tornado of all time. I don't understand how you could have a better environment, and then on top of that, you had an interaction with the boundary at the same time as a failed occlusion. Like, it's just mind-blowing from a, like, extreme meteorologically nerdy standpoint. I really don't think that you could get an environment more impressive than what we had with Smithville. And again, there's more to support it than just, the environment. The damage was obviously exceptional, even while moving at 60 miles an hour. I don't think it was quite the, mega slabber as everybody claims. It's not like every home in Smithville was completely destroyed. Now, part of that is just due to the fact that although Smithville was obviously incredibly intense, it wasn't actually that wide. I think its widest point, it was still less than a mile wide, which is obviously still huge, but for a mega wedge tornado on April 27th, 2011, comparative to many of the others. It wasn't like massive. Yeah, about 2/3 of a mile wide. I mean, it was still very intense. Really, the most impressive feat is the car, um, the Ford. What else? I mean, again, just the fact that it was able to slab well-built anchored homes, rip the plumbing out of the ground, uh, extreme debris granulation, even whilst moving at over 60 miles an hour. Uh, Very impressive feat. HBC is one of the. I do agree with that. I agree with that indeed. HBC and El Reno have to take the cake for the scariest tornadoes of all time in my book. Um, and obviously Gerald, but Philadelphia, I've not put a whole lot of research into in terms of the environment near Philadelphia. I mean, I suppose. Oh gosh, that was horrible. It doesn't vary too far from what things looked like in Smithville, but your shear was not quite as impressive, and that pretty much directly makes your SRH less impressive. Um, Not to say that this is like an unimpressive environment by any means. I really am a firm believer that the 45 hatched should have been larger, and in the spot where the 45 hatch was, they should have added a 60 hatch. Now, obviously, that's partially easy to answer just due to the fact that it's already happened and we know what things looked like, and obviously it verified as a 60 hatch, but even just looking at the environment, you could perhaps make the case for a 60% hatched risk over the area where the remnant boundary was from the morning QLCS, especially. Or not QLCS, MCS, but I don't know. What should be your first documentary? I can't answer that just because there's so many different potentials, and I don't know what you personally want to do. But again, just go for something that not a lot of other people have done. And if you're going to do something that other people have documented in the past, make it on the anniversary of that tornado. That's why the Rolling Fork video did so well. um, but again, if you wanted me like to specifically pick, there's so many different potentials. I mean, I will say Vincent was going to do Bassfield So-So for his first one, but he ditched that for some reason. I helped him out with that video, and then he just didn't upload it. um, you could document the Fargo F5 in 1952. Not a lot of people have mentioned that. There's some interesting stories behind it. Deadliest tornado in North Dakota history. Um, what else? You want like a specific tornado or also an outbreak? Um, if you want an outbreak as well, there's a really interesting batch uh, of tornado outbreaks that I don't think I've seen a single documentary on during May 2003, specifically from the 4th to the 11th. You have things like the EF4 tornado that went north of Paducah. You've also got the Jackson, Tennessee EF4, and then probably most noteworthy was the EF4 tornado that went near Mulberry. Mulberry's been talked about a little bit even on YouTube, but there are certainly some stories you could tell. Also, the downtown Kansas City EF4, and then even the Moore tornado in 2003. May 4th through 11th, 2003, very active stretch of significant severe weather that nobody's really talked about online. I do find quite a few interesting stories from March 2nd, 2012, but at the same time, many have talked about March 2nd, 2012, but many people usually hone in on Henryville and what's the other one called? Crittenden. There are some stories to be told about the tornado that went near West Liberty, Kentucky, Saylorsville, Kentucky, and then also even the Buchanan, Georgia EF3. There's plenty to talk about that hasn't been referenced before, at least too many times on YouTube from that outbreak. So yeah, Otter, you're thinking a modern tornado? Um, Perhaps uh, well, quite a few people have talked about Winterset. You could do. Trying to think. What's something that people haven't documented in recent years? In recent years, it's a lot more few and far between in terms of number of tornadoes that have not been documented already on YouTube, at least significant ones. Um, you could document Morton or Morton 2. I don't think that there's been any documentaries on either Morton. Definitely not Morton 2. Um, what is my favorite tornado outbreak? It feels kind of wrong to call it my favorite, but the most significant for me would have to be March 31st, 2023, just because it's the event that got me into weather. Um, June 29th, 2023, very fun for me, but also not really a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very robust tornado outbreak, more so because of the derecho, obviously. It was impressive, but May 20th, 2019, Milton got into weather. The Hurricane Milton outbreak was an event that was actually pretty decently well forecasted by the SPC. What day did Hurricane Milton make landfall? I think it was October 9th. Yeah, October 9th. If we look at October 9th, 2024 SPC, it was actually pretty well forecasted by the Storm Prediction Center. A 10% hatch tornado threat highlighted across most of central Florida. I will say Fort Pierce, the largest tornado of the day and also the deadliest, occurred outside of this risk. But the thing that made this environment so extreme for a hurricane tropical tornado threat was mostly the SRH content. You had SRH values getting well over 300. Yeah, you're looking at 350 at the 0 to 3 and 440 at the 0 to 6. Also, your 3 cape was very impressive, which is something that's important for tropical tornado outbreaks. And again, I mean, just look at that photograph. I mean, that is a decent looking photograph, especially considering it is a hurricane landfall. I mean, the reason partially that Milton weakened to a Category 3 before landfall was because of some of the shear content around Florida, and that enhanced our tornado threat pretty significantly. Um, but yeah, I don't think that Fort Pierce occurred within the 10 hatched. Oh, it might have. Yeah, I think it did actually. Maybe I'm just stupid. Should you do the new Ren Amory F3? I've seen many talk about it. I don't think it's necessarily interesting enough in of itself to do an entire documentary on, in my opinion, but I'm sure there's some people that will watch it. I think the only thing that makes it interesting to most people is that it was considered to be underrated by the National Weather Service. Um, but anyway, you could, if you wanted to talk about Tylertown, I would actually recommend talking about both Tylertowns because while Tylertown is already not mentioned often, even just a few months after it's happened, the second Tylertown nobody even remembers. There was another mile-wide wedge tornado that impacted virtually the same exact area on that day. High-end EF3. Nobody talks about it. It's overshadowed by the main Tylertown. Um, I believe it was even deadly, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look. Was the second Tylertown deadly? Uh, no, it did injure too, though. No, the second Tylertown wasn't Tory. But the same traffic cam along Highway 98 caught both tornadoes, and they both looked the exact same. It's interesting that it's even referred to as Tylertown. Some people call the EF4 Bassfield, but that's ridiculous. You can't have another Bassfield, especially considering the fact that this one didn't go anywhere near Bassfield. It is kind of hard to give it a name just due to the fact that it really didn't hit any communities head on. Again, it went kind of close to Tylertown, but not necessarily head on. Mesa obviously pops up here, but that's not an actual population center. So it's kind of hard to give it a name, even though it tracked for over 50 miles. There weren't a lot of communities directly impacted by it, which is good. Most of your DIs here are just tree damage. But Tuscaloosa Birmingham, in my opinion, probably deserved the EF4 195, maybe EF4 200. I don't think you can make the case for EF5. I assume you're referring to the... Yep. I think you're referring to the large building east of Tuscaloosa. The 3 survey teams surveyed. 2 found it to be of EF4 intensity. 1 found it to be of EF5 damage intensity. I don't think you can make the case that it should be rated EF5, just because that one survey team found the 1 DI at EF5 intensity. I mean, there was a solid EF5 DI with DIs, and they said, oh, we don't upgrade tornadoes to EF5 intensity from 1 damage indicator. And I think if we're going to go under that logic, then I don't think you can make any reasonable case that Tuscaloosa Birmingham should have been an EF5. Now, back then, they didn't rate tornadoes like that. They weren't backrat crazy. No, they... I mean, it's iffy. Do I think Greenfield should have been EF5 if the windmills counted? No. The windmill feat in particular isn't, like, super impressive just due to the fact that it didn't necessarily, like... I suppose one of them did snap at the core, but Ethan Moriarty, June 1st, has a pretty impressive damage analysis on the windmills. I would recommend checking that out if you're interested in that. But yeah. I still think that Greenfield, it's kind of trendy to say, oh, Greenfield was EF1 110 just to make it sound like you have an edgy, cool opinion, but everybody says that now. If you say Greenfield should have been anything higher than what it was, people laugh at you, but I don't understand why. There are plenty of cases to make for it, and I don't understand how people can sit here and say there's not enough evidence to say that it was in the realm of strongest tornadoes of all time, when during its rope out phase, it wiped out a town. I don't understand. The damage was slightly less impressive than Rolling Fork. And again, this is while it was roping out. Like, it's insane to me. And again, the Dow scan I don't necessarily think is quite the feat that many think it is, but I also don't think it's nothing. If it really wasn't that impressive of a feat, it would have happened more than one other time before. I think you've asked me about Claremore before, Camp, but I think that you can make a case for EF4 intensity on Claremore. I don't necessarily think that it was. Let's see, let's go to May 25th, 2024. May 25th, 2024. I personally don't think that Claremore should have been given the EF4 170 tag, or EF4 166, or whatever you wanted to call it, but you could probably persuade me. I haven't looked super far into it. I'm assuming you know more about it than I do, honestly, so, anyway. Do I think Matador should have been rated EF4 or EF5? Probably EF 4170, which is going to tick a lot of people off, but I don't think it was quite what everybody claims. Again, it's kind of another trendy thing to say Matador should have been EF5 390. I do think it warranted an EF4 rating, but I don't think the National Weather Service is super unjust, to be fair. I used to think that before. And I mean, if you're counting the contextuals, it's EF4 190 plus without a doubt. But if you're just talking straight up damage, I don't think that you can, like, it just frustrates me how people will just go out of their way to disagree with the National Weather Service on something that they're correct about just to gain points with the community. And I'm not saying the National Weather Service is always right, because they're definitely not. But, yeah, I find it kind of ridiculous. And, like, Marion. People say Marion should have been EF, like, 3, 160. I've genuinely, that was a joke, but I've genuinely seen people say that Marion was 170 max, and I've also seen people make the claim that they accidentally put the wrong damage indicator out for Marion. Like, yeah, they just go, oh, it was an accident, can't change it now. Oh, I guess it's out there. It was EF4 170, but we actually did EF4 190. Oops, what can we do? People just over-exaggerate every somewhat hot take to a ridiculous level, and then if you say that that's kind of stupid, you get blasted by the community. Marion was EF4 100%. I mean, again, if you say that on Twitter, you get cooked. You will get cooked for no reason. Like, it's ridiculous. Some people also make the case that it shouldn't be EF4 190 because it was only one damage indicator. And that's somewhat fair. But I mean, so what? Like, I mean, I will be totally honest. The construction quality on the home, I'm not totally sure supports an EF4 190, even with a clean slab. But, like, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that it could. And I definitely don't think it goes as low as 170 ever. How can you glaze Tri-State? How can you glaze the longest tracking, deadliest tornado of all time? How can you glaze it? By the way, I put out my Gerald, Texas Tri-State poll, and people were like, oh, well, he's gonna get mad if I say Tri-State. No, like, everybody thinks that I'm like a Gerald glazer for some reason, which I find interesting. I don't see why. Tri-State won the poll overwhelmingly. If I was such a Gerald glazer and I was gonna freak out at everybody that said Tri-State, then I wouldn't have said quite a tricky one. Look up 1952. Is it on archive, or do I need to look somewhere else? Talking about this Minnesota tornado. I've looked at this. Why do you say it possibly tracked, like what? I think 1953 just has, like, the 50s and the 40s, 50s, and 60s just have some goofy long tracks in general just because they were families. Most of these tornadoes were. Like, obviously we did not actually have an F4 that tracked over 162 miles during this. I mean, we could have, I suppose, but, like, I don't find it logically safe and sound to say that there were so many tornadoes that tracked that long in the same year. What do I think is the most forgotten, F5 or EF5? I would probably say Waynesboro, Tennessee, which has often been described as the most forgotten. Or, sorry, not Waynesboro, Lawrenceburg. Um, but there was also an EF4 that went near Waynesboro. Wait. Yeah, Lawrenceburg. But yeah, also very large tornado on that day that went near Waynesboro. But I think Lawrenceburg is the most forgotten F5. I didn't even know about it until like 6 months ago. I dropped my glasses. I'm trying to find them. Yeah. Lawrenceburg was overshadowed by Nashville F3 in some ways, I suppose. The Nashville F3 was not like a super big story for very long, though. You know what? La Plata, Maryland is talked about way too much. I'm just gonna say it. Like, we get it, guys. It was an F4 in Maryland. Everybody glazes it. I don't understand. What is happening? Is there like a parental relationship? Read your other comment. Let's see. One tri-state happened in 1920. It was not 1927. Construction quality was not there. Okay, well, there were more feats outside of just slabbing homes. For one thing, also, construction quality was not nearly as poor as you would think. Standards were higher back then, but material wasn't quite there. So obviously, construction was worse than it would be today. But two, we can say 100% it was one single tornado. Do you mean we can't say it was? Well, if we're going to undermine the intensity of every tornado by the claim, oh, we don't know if it was one or if it was a family, then every tornado's intensity prowess can be wiped off the face of the earth that was occurred before 1970 or so. Oh, you guys are forgiven. That's great. Okay, well, again, though, we don't technically know if any tornado is one or if it's a family, if it occurred, you know, any time before the F scale, honestly. I mean, for example, Tri State 2, we don't know if this was one tornado or if it was a family, but people don't undermine the idea that it could have been that long tracking. We've seen tornadoes like, Mayfield, for example, that track, 200 miles, and we know that Mayfield was one tornado. I mean, I don't think there's enough evidence to say that Tri-State wasn't conclusively one tornado. You should watch Convective Chronicles breakdown on it. Yeah, Mayfield is actually 5,000 tornadoes. Yeah, I don't know what's happening in chat. I never know what's happening in chat, though, so don't ask me. Yeah, I'm gonna start hiding your spam messages, Camp. And Southcast. Anyway, chat. I don't know if we have much else to talk about tonight. I'm not saying necessarily that we're going to end right now, but I do kind of need to go to the restroom, so maybe I am saying that. But I don't know. I sound tired. Well, I'm definitely not. I stay up till about 4 a.m. most nights during the summer. And wake up at about 1 p.m. It's very healthy. It really does kind of play a big game on your mental state, though. What Pete said. What Pete said. Like, it is very hard to adjust your mind to the fact that if you decide to start waking up at 1 or 2 p.m. that it's not morning anymore. Everybody else has been up and going. People have eaten lunch. They're, at work or school or whatever. Like, it's weird. Like, by 8 p.m., I'm just now getting fully woken up. Everybody else is starting to wind down. It's crazy. But yeah. I mean, like, it's midnight right now, and it feels like it's about 9:30 for me. Which is, again, just a testimony to how healthy my sleep schedule is. But yeah. It's not... Okay, usually I am just staying up watching YouTube and playing a lot of Minecraft, but I am sometimes working on videos at least. Again, I know a lot of you guys do enjoy the Life series and all these different seasons of the Life series and whatnot. If you haven't checked them out, I do think that our new series, Shrinking Life, will be a good starting point. We explain how everything works, all the rules and such, and I really do think... Oh, that was horrible. I do think that a lot of you Minecraft enjoyers will like this series. Obviously, we didn't invent the concept of the Life series. Royalties there go to Korean, but I do think that you guys will enjoy Shrinking Life if you do decide to give it a watch. We have already filmed episode 2 and 3, and I can tell you it's going to be a very entertaining series. They should, bro. I haven't seen WX Clips in here in a minute. They're going big league now. Like, I remember whenever we got them to 30 subs, they're at like 1,000, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, 400, but still, that's crazy. Alright, see you, Brody. Thank you for tuning in. No, Minecraft doesn't get boring if you put a spin on it. Vanilla survival will get boring if you just sit there and play it for 6 or 7 hours, but well, I mean, if you're playing by yourself, then yeah, it's gonna get boring very quickly. But I mean, that can be said of any video game. I don't know, man. Gaming is not the same in 2025 as it was like 5 years ago. It's just not. Every game has gotten progressively worse, and there's no doubting that. Um, like 2020, for example, the front lines were Fortnite, Among Us, Minecraft, COD, GTA. Obviously, 2020, the GTA drought already existed. It's basically the gaming community's version of the EF5 drought. But obviously, all the delays with GTA 6 have gotten frustrating, so GTA has kind of fallen off. Fortnite had a revolutionary crash. Among Us, nobody knows what exists. Nobody knows exists. In 2025, Minecraft fails to create new and unique creatures and structures in 2025. It's just like, oh yeah, let's add giant castle in new dimension. Well, not new dimension, but in a different dimension with OP loot. Like, they're not quite as creative anymore with their updates, in my opinion, at least. Um, COD is not the same whatsoever. Also because they've failed to do anything new. Like, it's frustrating. What's up, Selfcast? Oh, the web swinging on Spider-Man PS4. Do I still play Geometry Dash? If I'm being honest, no. Because I used to play on my iPad, which, whenever you get used to playing Geometry Dash on a certain device, it's impossible to switch. So, it's very hard for me to play on my phone or my computer. What happened to Capybara? Um, well, if you have time for a conversation of discourse that lasted over a year, then we'll go ahead and discuss that sometime. But very complicated situation that really only a few people here probably totally understand. Call of Duty Page or Call of Duty. I don't know. It feels like I've been getting into beef with everybody lately. I saw you in that one argument, Airborne, but that's not what ended it. At a certain point, I'm just gonna be totally blunt here. At a certain point, I'm only gonna put up with so much crap. Um, and again, I don't want to like tell you guys to go like harass them or anything. Do not do that. But yeah, I'm just gonna shut my mouth because again, I don't want you guys to send any hate his way at all. Just because I have a disagreement with somebody does not mean that you guys should go over and attack them or harass them in any way, ever. in any situation. Um, because that doesn't do good for anybody. Somewhat airborne. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that because it's kind of a violation of privacy to talk about that without his permission. And again, it's nobody's fault, just different personalities. Dude, pizza goat. That's always Jesse's famous quote. Whenever we do like a mock Jesse voice, we do, "Yo, Pete, you're a goat, bro." Let's cook this kid, bro. Again, don't. I shouldn't have said that. Don't go over there and like harass him, but that's kind of crazy. Kid said making $10 an hour flipping burgers isn't the flex you think it is. You're very ignorant and you're 15. You weren't even alive when the Wii was released. Pipe down, child. Yo, Pete, you're a goat, bro. The Wii part is true. Technically, yes. But if we were to take a poll here, say about 90% of the people watching this stream are younger than the Wii. Top 5 best games of all time. Mine would all be very generic, like like extremely mainstream. So I really never was like it's weird. I was a gamer for sure, and I still consider myself a moderate gamer, but I never was like able to get into like these random indie games or these, you know, obscure kart racers. Like I would always stick with the mainstream stuff, and I really wasn't great at any particular game. Like GD, maybe you could consider me to be okay at. Minecraft, sure, but like again, these are extremely generic mainstream games. VR got boring very quick. That is for true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like it's not generic, but again, it's very mainstream. Is what I meant by that. And this is gonna make me sound like a huge loser and like somebody that never went outside and has no life, but in the end, it definitely ended up paying off. Most of my childhood years were spent watching YouTube more than gaming even. Um, which again sounds ridiculous, but and it sounds like you would have to have like the saddest life for that to be the case, but was very happy and it definitely paid off. I would not have any knowledge of the YouTube algorithm without that. Those hundreds, why am I saying hundreds? Those thousands of hours of YouTube watching. The first channel I ever watched, I'm curious if any of you guys ever heard of the K-Wings Let's Plays. It's insane to me how they still post consistently. They stream like 3 times a day. Every single day. DLs is officially done. Why did I say DLs? Silly Pones. I've heard of Silly Pones. I didn't watch him, unfortunately, in my yesteryears. Blitzwinger was about the second channel I was ever introduced to, if I'm not mistaken. And again, it's like the same thing. Like, he still posts and streams like 3 times a day. It's insane to me how consistent these people have been. I will say, even today, like in 2025, I will still go back and watch Darium's Pokemon sometimes. It's not quite what they used to be. They used to, do 1,000 pack unboxings and stuff like that, but it's still fun to watch, and it's where I got the idea for my Profit or Loss Pokemon card series. So, I mean, it's crazy how the channels you watch really do shape your content and all you creators out there. I miss Stampy so much. So, I never really got into Stampy's Minecraft series, but what I watched on Blitzwinger and K-Wings Let's Play typically was this game called Disney Infinity. Some of you guys may have heard of it. And I watched that occasionally on Stampy's second channel, Stampy Longnose, or I think that was on the second channel anyway. Maybe not. Maybe it was his main channel, but...
Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to another vlog. This is a bit of a weird...
It's crazy, because even though I didn't grow up watching Stampy's Minecraft series, that, hello, this is Stampy, still somehow hits with nostalgia. I needed to know about a D&D set, and he was so fast responding. He gets those comments quickly. Oh my gosh, Think Noodles. Think Noodles was a goat. Again, though, these creators, I only watched them play like one game, and I wish I expanded my horizons of what they did. But, like, ages 6 to 8. What was it that I watched Think Noodles play? I don't think it was just Pokemon Brick Bronze. When I was like 10, I really liked his FNAF stuff, and his Granny stuff even. What was it that I watched from him? I don't remember. There was one series that I was really interested in, though. Oh my goodness, it was Duck Life! It was Duck Life, bro. That is hilarious. Davis's dad is goated. You guys really seem to enjoy his stuff, so I'm happy. He always finds it funny whenever you guys like come into his comments and stuff. Zebra? Oh my goodness, I watched that Zebra dude, Zebra Gaming. I watched him, again, I always only watch these creators one of their series, but I watched, what was his name? Zebra Gamer? Yeah, I watched his Pokemon Quest. He quit? That is a big shot in the stomach, even though I haven't watched him in so long. Oh my gosh, I have not watched this kid in like 4 years. I don't know why I care, but man, that is so unfortunate. That's crazy. Again, I watch this Pokemon Quest series all the time, bro. Pokemon Quest is one of those games that nobody else will ever play again, but I'll still come back to once in a while. My battery, yeah, it's fine. Everybody gets frustrated at me in real life too because I never charge my stuff. Like even my phone is on 5%, and I don't care. Mr. Twister, where have you been? No, I'm kidding. I never did play Pixel Gun 3D now. I've been having a detox, taking a break. I don't know what a detox is. Is that bad? Ah, good for you. That's what I need to do. Again, I took like a little kind of break from doing YouTube for like just a few days. Just mental game is rough during. Well, I'm not gonna say that because that sounds disgusting, but mental game is rough. Yeah, I'm getting better though. A lot of you guys do know that. Well, a lot of you guys probably don't know actually, but I've mentioned a couple times before for the past like 3 years. In all honesty, I haven't been happy as much as I display on the camera. But I'd say it kind of got the worst probably like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So I kind of took like a few day break. But we're coming back. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Twister. Again, it's rough. But I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. Giving me something to smile about every day, even during those hard times. Well, and it gets to a point where it's not just affecting like yourself. Like, well, it is just affecting yourself in a sense by what I mean, but like I'm saying, like it affects your ability to focus, your ability to critically think, and it's rough, bro. But again, it gets better. But yeah, over the past few years, although I haven't really said it publicly, a few times, I don't want to say that I hit like rock bottom, but got pretty close. And it was just impossible to be happy because it was just constant. But again, it's getting better. Hopefully, I always think it's getting better, and then it gets bad again. But what can you do? Thank you, Southcast. But yeah, I mean, plug in your computer. It's getting dangerously low. It's on 9%, chat. We're fine. That'll last like another 45 minutes. If you'd like, Evan. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, dude. Dude, it's so crazy to think that I'm somehow impacting people's decisions to get into the field of meteorology. That is crazy to me. Like, obviously, the core contention and the core purpose of this channel will always to be to help people out in those significant severe weather situations. But a secondary role that I think has been even more helpful in general is, and it's crazy to me, it really is so crazy to think about. But I've had so many people, and again, I don't want this to be like a Davis ego boost, like I've done so much, but so many people have told me, you're the reason that I got into weather. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. like, like that is insane. That is just crazy. But yeah. Again, I really do appreciate all you guys for sticking around during, all the lows. Again, I've tried to never let those, make a show on my face on camera. Always tried to present a happy and composed character. But, sometimes you're just not all the way there. Uh, um, but I really do appreciate you guys for sticking around and always being there. Well, getting made fun of, and oh my goodness, did I, is not always necessarily a bad thing. Um, because there are a few ways to handle it. You can, accept it and let people bring you down, or you can, you know, just try to ignore it. But I think the most helpful thing is to use it as, instead of like, oh my goodness, yeah, they're right, use it as a reason to grow your channel so that you can prove them wrong. You know? And again, like, I don't want to say that I had it the hardest because I definitely didn't. I'm so privileged to be at the spot where I am. But if you're worried about getting made fun of, this kid right here immortalized the words "taste like a burger" and couldn't go walking through the hallway without hearing it every single time I stepped out of the classroom. And at a certain point, it's funny, like, haha, yeah, but then you realize people are using it to push you down and make you out to be this idiot. It's crazy. Mr. Twister does have a soothing voice. What's up, Mark? And again, I see why I got bullied. I do see why I got bullied. It's not like I don't understand. Like, but it's kind of a form of what I understand to be post-traumatic growth, where I go back and look at these videos now and I'm laughing at myself, but not in a negative way, like it was back then. Like, I go back and cringe at these videos in a fun manner, and that's kind of what my, like, reacting to my old videos series was for a while. Like, it's just a way to look back and see how much we've grown. It's kind of crazy. But yeah. I'm so mad that this video got copyrighted because it wasn't even copyrighted when I uploaded it, I don't think. Let's see. I used 34 seconds of a song. Like, that's crazy. I mean, it only would have made like $1 or $2 anyway, but still, it just sucks. Yeah, every single, the voice cracks are terrible. I'm just gonna start ignoring them. Every single video on Davis Does Games that I've ever posted has gotten copyrighted, I think. Except for Weather Life Episode 1, but the reason that didn't get copyrighted was because the audio quality was so bad because I was screen recording the actual footage because my storage wasn't enough. So it didn't even recognize the copyrighted songs that I was using. This one didn't get copyrighted, which is kind of surprising because the Pokemon theme was in the whole thing. I guess that's not copyrighted. And then this didn't get copyrighted because it's just an unboxing. And then the first video, Hardcore Episode 1, didn't get copyrighted. That's weird to think the second channel is already half a year old. There's like a new top 1 team in every week now. Like, I remember whenever, and I'm not just saying this to sound like an old man, but I remember when Bloodbath was on top. I remember whenever Cataclysm was on top. Whenever Cataclysm was the #1 hardest extreme demon, and now it's considered to be arguably one of the easiest. See ya, Evan. How's Alaska out there? I had a friend out there just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, GD stands for Geometry Dash in the context of gaming. But yeah. This has been a wild stream, even though we've literally just been sitting here talking. We've gone over so many different things. It's insane. And DL came in. That was freaking insane. It's so sad to see him go. And I wish I had said it more while he was still in this stream just now, but I don't think I would even have 4,000 subscribers if it wasn't for him. I mean, he has helped me out so astronomically much. I did that at a point, Mr. Twister, but then I realized I still need to look at Twitter for, what's it called, updates on, ongoing severe weather. This kid's an idiot. I love just the only people that I don't feel any remorse for being extremely disrespectful to is the WX Meme Hub crew. I reported them too. They literally just got back to me on it today. They said they're going to investigate it. Because some of those things are legitimately, like, disgusting. Like, borderline illegal. Yeah, we literally said the same thing, Mr. Twister. That's crazy. We said the same exact thing. Yeah, I feel that, Pete. We literally said the same exact thing. This kind of feels like the end of the stream. I don't know, should we end stream here, Airborne? Is that what you're saying? Alright, we'll end. Thank y'all for watching. No, I'm just kidding. We probably are going to end off in a few, though, so I guess you did have a good perception of the situation, I suppose. Nah, I don't think it's going to be a hyperactive season by any means. That website was the one for the X thing was a virus anyways. It made you just follow a bunch of fake crypto scams on Twitter. I didn't even realize it until somebody pointed it out. But, yep. By the way, I found this crazy. Oh yeah, it was this. Nick K made, where's it at? Did he delete it? He might have. He made a statement today that was very, very obviously a joke. I'm not even trying to be that guy. It was my report. I literally got a notification, bro. Hold on, look. Notification 2 hours ago. There's no way. That is insane. Well, I think they looked at both of ours. I think what happened... See, because I reported on May 14th. I also sent a report on June 3rd. I think it was probably from multiple... Like, they checked them all at once. We did it together, chat. Kid got banned. Kid got banned. That is hilarious. That is insane. I'm gonna screenshot this. I'm proud of this, bro. And it wasn't just me, but I think Mr. Twister and I's reports definitely played a significant part in it. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. This may be the best day of my life. That is hilarious. Oh, what a loser. He's finally gone. That is insane. This is crazy, bro. That is actually hilarious. Nah, bro, I have no remorse. Well, he also made some very sick jokes that are actually borderline illegal. So. Dude, was that actually my report? Seems like a lot of people reported it. I don't even care that I'm using GIFs in the Big 25. He's made... I don't even know if I want to say it on stream. I don't even know if I want to say the abbreviation of it, but put out some very disgusting stuff. Anyway, I was gonna say, before all that, Nick K made a post today where there was an FFW, or sorry, no, there was a tour warning for the DC, and he was like, "Oh, please hit," and everybody like crashed out on him. It's like, guys, this is obviously a joke. like, calm down. Like, I'm a conservative, and I'm gonna be the first one to come up and say that that was obviously a joke. This is getting pinned. That's actually crazy. Anyway, that is epic. Literal scum of the earth. But anyway, Chad, that may be a good point to end the stream. Like, I mean, he's still got like a bunch of crony. Yeah, it was 2 hours ago. And they've still got like a bunch of cronies out there, like American weather geek and all them. But who cares? The main culprit is down. Their leader. What are they gonna do without their precious leader? Their king. That is hilarious. And I do not feel even a little bit bad. I don't see how you could. We'll take it. We'll take every W we get. It's crazy, too, because they've been, like, Twitter's been trying to, like, people have been reporting him for, like, 3 years. Okay, I don't know about 3 years. I've not been on WX Twitter for 3 years, but for at least, like, 6 months. Anyway. That's it. Battery check. Still on 4%. See, I told you we were good. Anyway, chat. I think that's going to be it for this live stream. I'm going to grab myself a soda, sit down, and probably either edit or watch some YouTube. Oh, that was terrible. That was horrible. Probably some Andrew Wilson. And that's it. So thank y'all for watching again. A huge thank you. And again, I know he's not watching anymore, but DL, if you somehow see this, like if you watch this back somehow and see this, I really do want to thank you for everything. And I know I've said that a few times over the past few weeks, but I really do, like, appreciate it more than I could ever say. I mean, I literally would not be anywhere close to here if it weren't for you and your support. You know, all the donation. Literally, DL was the first one to ever donate. He was the first one to allow me to use his feed. He's always here. He's always been supportive. He was the one that showed me how to properly bring up chasers on OBS. Like, he's always had my back on Twitter. Like, it's insane. So if you are somehow watching this, DL, again, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And again, I hope you do enjoy your, not necessarily retirement, but your retirement. I think that's what you were calling it, so I'll call it that. But again, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for sticking around. And that's it. So I'll see you all in the next one. Whenever that is. Love you guys. God bless. Peace.